Hi, my name is Mike Smith and welcome to my Week 3 video for the Introduction to Interactive Programming in Python course on Coursera by Rice University. In this video I'm going to be going through a development process of creating a shooting game that uses mostly just what we have learned so far and this week's concepts of timers and canvas drawing. We will also use the docs to look a few things up. I could make it better with lists and mouse handling so that targets move around and you move the scope with the mouse, but we haven't covered that yet so far, so we'll keep it basic. We will start with a basic template that we see here, which just has an imported simple GUI and some comments about where our things shall go. So we're going to need to create a frame, add buttons to shoot, pause, and reset, a timer to move our crosshairs, and finally start the framer and timer. I'll use copy and paste to keep the video short. Okay, we'll copy in our frame here. Most of this stuff you would have seen in the video lectures, so it should be fairly familiar. We'll add in our buttons. We have a shoot, pause, and reset button. And then we'll add in our draw handler and our timer. And then we're going to have to start our frame and our timer to have this thing work. Okay, so that's the basics, but right now it's not going to run because we don't have our functions in that these things are supposed to be calling. So we'll put these functions in and we'll just have them say pass in them for now. All that pass does is make it so that there is something in the function so that it does not cause an error. It does absolutely nothing otherwise. Okay, so that should give us enough to test it out. And we test it out, we have our shoot, pause, and reset buttons. Everything looks good. They don't actually do anything yet, but at least you know it's working, so it's a good thing to continuously test as you add stuff. Make sure it continues working, that way you know where the bug is if one happens to crop up. Okay. So now we're going to test to see if our buttons are indeed working. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace these pass statements with some print statements and print out which button was pressed. Okay, that should do it. I'll move this over a little bit so I can see the messages. Shoot says shoot button press, pause button press, then reset button press. Great. We're doing good. We'll move this back over so we can see the code here. Okay, next thing we're going to have to do is we're going to need to draw some targets because, well, we need something to shoot. So we're going to take a quick look over here at the documents under graphics and canvas. We see draw circle here. Tells us to draw a circle. We need a location, radius, line width, and line color, and possibly a fill color. So let's add that into our draw handler here. Okay, so we got 4 circles for 4 targets, and we'll test that out. Looks good. Okay, so now we're going to draw our crosshairs, and our crosshairs are just going to be a circle and a couple of lines. So I'll put that in here, and you'll notice here that I used cross X and cross Y instead of just specifying where they're going to be because I need to move them around. So we'll need to make these a global so that we can keep track of them and move them around. And then at the top here we're going to start them in the center. So we'll do cross X equals 100 and cross Y equals 100. Okay, let's give that a test. Oh, actually that's not going to work yet because we've used random, so we need to import random as well. Okay, now let's test it. Okay, it's moving all over the place like crazy. That's not exactly what I wanted. What I actually want to do is I actually want to take this out of here and put it in my move, because I only want it to move based on the timer and not 60 times a second, which the draw handler uses. So let's give that a go. There we go, much better. It's moving once a second because our timer is showing 1000. Okay, so we got that far. Now we need to get our buttons working. So let's start with our pause button. Now what we want to do with our pause button is we're also going to make it double as a resume button. So we'll take a quick look at the docs here again. Okay, we'll go down here to timers, and we see to stop a timer, we do timer stop. To start it, we need timer start, and we can check to see if the timer is running here. Timer is running. Okay, so let's put this in our pause button here. We'll use if timer is running, stop, and change the text of the button to resume, and otherwise we'll start the timer and change the text to pause. So we got pause, and it's moving around right now, so if we hit pause, it stops moving, and the button name changes to resume. We hit resume, it starts moving again. Great. Okay. Now normally before I test every time I would also save it, but since I have this saved elsewhere, I'm not doing that right now, but it's a good habit to get into. So now let's work on the shoot button. What we're going to do is we're going to check to see if the crosshair is within this circle, and if so, we're going to add 1 to a score. Now, I just make this very simple. I actually just create essentially a bounding box around the circle. You could actually make it specific so that it is right in the circle, but that's a little more complex, so I'm not going to do that for this video. So here we go. We just check the X and Y values of each circle, and if it's in that range, we add 1 to the score. Well, we're going to have to keep track of this score, so again, we'll make that global. We'll start it off at 0, and we'll put global score here. Okay, let's give that a test. Oh, we don't have anything displaying on the screen either, so we're not going to know if it's going to work. So we better draw some text telling us what the score is. So back down here in our draw handler, we'll put in a line to draw a score. Okay, it says score is 0. So, oh, we got 2 scores so far. Oh. As you can tell, I'm clicking all the time. I could just constantly click, and when it's in, I'll go up, and when it's not, I won't. But maybe there should be a penalty for clicking when we're not inside the circle. The other problem also is that if I pause, oh, let me try to resume here again. There we go. We'll pause while I'm inside the circle, and I can just shoot and crank up the score endlessly. That's not good either. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some code to fix this, which is actually not much. Up here, we're just going to add in, as we saw before, we can tell if the timer is running or not. So if the timer is not running, we're just going to return from this function. It's pressing the button is not going to do anything. And then we're also going to put in our conditions, so we have negative amounts if we click the button when we're not on a target. So we'll just put an else condition in here, which says score minus equals 1. Okay, let's test it again. So if I shoot outside, I'm going to go minus. If I shoot inside, I go plus. Okay, let's pause it. Okay, I'm outside. I'm not keeping going negative while it's paused. That's good. We'll resume. Wait till it gets inside a circle here. Oh, there we go. Pause it, and shooting's not giving me a score while it's paused. So that's good. As you can see, it's going up when we're in the circle and down when we're outside the target. So we're good. Okay, we're almost done here. We just need to get our reset button working properly. All it's going to do is reset the score to 0. So that's pretty simple. All we got to do is go down here where our reset button is, take it to print statement, put in global score, score equals 0, run it again, and we do some shooting. If we hit reset, the score goes back to 0. Beautiful. So that now that we're done with the game, we'll save it one last time. We'll copy the URL, and we're done. Great. Hope this helps you with your projects, and you have fun, and good luck. Thank you. Bye-bye.